need legal advice, anything, just come and help, come ask. We're there for you. There's an email at the bottom there. It'll be in the comment section for you to click on and just sign up for it. Also, a big announcement coming up here soon is that we are going to be launching a new member of the Peer Guidance team. So I just wanted to throw that in there quickly. And of course, Founders Coffee is every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. I am excited about this conversation. We have a new Calgarian, somebody, I love our conversations that we have before. I found so much about Guy, and obviously the Hunter Hub family has been such an important part of our community, our ecosystem, our tech at every level, and growing it and supporting it. So this conversation with the Hunter Hub is going to be awesome. Guy, how are you today?
Really good. I'm enjoying Calgary's winter finally after arriving in late November and, being greeted with a big dump of snow on that Saturday, the 23rd of November. But since then, I hardly knew that there was such a thing as a Calgary winter. So thanks for reminding me.
Well, we love our Calgary winters, and let's say we have been spoiled. Like, this is going to be our probably only 7 to 10 days of really stretch of cold weather, and we only hit the minus 20, mid-20s, for a handful of days. So that's good for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But listen, I lived in Winnipeg for 5 years, from 2005 to 2010. So if you stood on the corner of Portage and Main in late January, early February with 100-mile-an-hour winds, this is a piece of cake.
Well, as a Sasky and somebody who's been to Winnipeg in the winter fair amount, I can agree with you. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. But listen, I want to get into our conversation because I know you have so much to share, and as I said before, the Hunter House does so much for the students. The Hunter family does so much. I mean, I've been participating in events and helping the Hunter Hub, even when it was in the dungeon. And you may or may not, hear people talk about the old location. But anytime I get asked to speak and share my knowledge, it puts a huge smile on my face. And I'm excited to hear, what your plans are for maybe the Hunter Hub in the future. But, what made you want to come here? What made you want to be part of the Calgary ecosystem? But start off by telling us a little bit of your background.
Sure, thanks, Jade, and cut me off if I ramble on because
no rambling.
There's an interesting story. So I've been in my career now for 33 years, so a third of a century, and everything started as a high school teacher, high school science, math, chemistry, physics teacher. And ever since my first day in the classroom, inspiring, motivating, empowering students to kind of dream about their future, be curious about their world, has kind of been the common thread for my career. And I've had the great fortune of spending lots of time both within government, in academia. This is my third large research-intensive university in my career, after the University of Ottawa and the University of Manitoba. And I've also spent a lot of time working deeply in the private sector, and most notably in the last 6 years in my role at the University of Ottawa as Associate VP for Innovation, Partnerships, Entrepreneurship, and also involved very closely with the Canada North Business Association, which you might know as Canada's largest technology park focused on telecom, SaaS, and advanced communications. And so that combination of experiences has kind of given me a really unique perspective and kind of a Goldilocks perspective where I've done enough of all three sectors to really fit well in a place like the Hunter Hub for Entrepreneurial Thinking. So I've been at the university for 6 years, done a lot of really interesting partnerships, supported and grew the culture around entrepreneurial thinking. We called it entrepreneurial mindset at the University of Ottawa. And so when I got the call in late June to see if I knew anybody who'd be interested in taking on this leadership role, it took me about a nanosecond to say, me. And the rest, as they say, was history. So focusing on entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial thinking full time is really kind of a blessing and kind of a gift that came to me over the last few months. And so here I am. I've been here now for a couple of months. I started late November. And I've been completely overwhelmed by the warmth and generosity of time and of advice from people on campuses here at the University of Calgary, but also in the community. So things have been really phenomenal from day one. I had the good fortune yesterday. You talked about the Hunter family, who are the generous benefactors and donors to be the inspiration and the motivation for this amazing space that we occupy here on campus. So I spent a good portion of the afternoon yesterday with both Derek and Patriarch Doug Hunter, talking about plans and where we're headed for the next couple of years in terms of how do we grow, scale, and raise the profile of entrepreneurial thinking and entrepreneurship at the University of Calgary. So that's a little bit of my story, and I know that you're going to be rejoining in just a second. And so some of the early learning. But that there's such a tremendous amount of convergence around entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial mindset in the community of Calgary. So for me to be surrounded by people who have aspirations, ambitions, expertise to help build the community of entrepreneurs here in Calgary that will benefit our local, provincial, national, global economy and community and society, it is really what kind of drives me to be here and to get up at 10 to 5 every morning and spend long days and do events almost every other night. So, I have the best job at the University of Calgary, and I'm ready to debate anybody who thinks otherwise.
No, I love that. And I think that's a great introduction to you and to our ecosystem and our community, because some of the strong points and people that are avid listeners here understand and that we are very collaborative. We are very open. We all work together and play in the sandbox extremely well. And to have somebody with your knowledge and your background and your knowledge of what goes on in maybe Toronto or the other ecosystems or the university, what has worked, what hasn't worked, I think is going to be very important in our growth as we move forward as an ecosystem.
Yeah, and there's when you've got ambitions and aspirations that are limitless, the expectations are high, but also the ability to get things done are high. And so because there's such strong convergence in the community, for me, this is such a great environment. Really what the reason why I'm having so many meetings with so many people, both on campus and in the community, is to get people to know who I am and what motivates me and makes me tick in this role, but also get to know a little bit more about the Hunter Hub. And so we are, right now kind of focusing on understanding and kind of crystallizing who we are as a team and where do we fit within the university landscape, but also the community landscape, and then figuring out how we serve the people we serve best. And that is undergraduates, graduates, postdocs, academic researchers who want to change the world. And so, the Hunter family talks about a growth mindset and talk about change makers. And really kind of our job here is to kind of inspire, support, empower change makers, whether they want to create $1 billion industry or company, or they want to tackle a tough social local community problem, or they want to do a side hustle as part of their their lifestyle. We're here for all of those purposes. And I think we're starting to crystallize that our job is to meet entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in development, meet them where they are in their journey.
No, and I love that. Especially meet them where they are in their journey, because we have got, we've got people from the idea stage all the way to, growing, big, massive 100 employee type companies. And a lot of this has taken place in the last 5 years. And the level of support, I know you mentioned Derek Armstrong before. I mean, what he was able to do with Prairie Scan and what him and Brad and now are doing with OSIF and giving back and hopefully expanding that program. the government level and the university level, the academia level that we have through Innovate Calgary and Peter and Nima and what they're doing here as well, I think is very, is unheard of when it comes to both worlds really working well together.
Yeah, absolutely. And, because as I mentioned, I've straddled all three kind of worlds in the over the last 20 years. That is the unique competitive advantage that Calgary has. And when I started my job at the University of Ottawa just over 6 years ago, Calgary was not necessarily the place that I would want it to emulate, because I didn't know what was happening in Calgary. And literally overnight, in the 3, 4, 5 years ago, Calgary went from wanting to be an entrepreneurial kind of showcase and the Canadian reference to being there. And so that growth, which creates, as we talked about before our broadcast, that growth creates a lot of momentum and a lot of passion and a lot of commitment. So there's a lot of activity happening. And so understanding and wayfinding for entrepreneurs is, one of the key objectives that I have in my mandate is, meeting entrepreneurs where they're at in their journey, but also telling them or providing them with the right advice as to who to go to for what services and what supports. Because it takes a village, right, to grow an entrepreneur, and whether that entrepreneur, whatever path they choose, there are supports in the in the Calgary landscape to get that done. And so, but for that to happen, the first thing is we have to build trust relationships. And you probably, Jade, read Victor Huang's Rainforest book, and Derek and Jim Gibson and Greg Hart, and we're all kind of the originators of Rainforest Alberta, and everything's predicated on trust relationships, right? And so that's really kind of where I'm focusing my efforts and my energies, is building that trust, because what's this guy from Ottawa going to be doing here in the Calgary landscape? And understandably, it's a right question to ask, right? And I'm hoping that I'm convincing and people understand that my motivations are right, and that I'm just a schmuck from Ottawa that has done a few great things in his career and is ready to roll his sleeves up and contribute to making Calgary the best place in the world for this endeavor.
Well, it's funny. One of my favorite words is schmucks, and I consider myself one too. So I think we're going to get along on that end.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. And for anybody that wants any more information about the Hunter Hub, just click on the website in the comment section. It'll take you directly there. And I'm always excited when we have somebody new come into our ecosystem, somebody that can share. Sometimes we're so tight in what we do in Alberta, and we don't look outside. And for someone like myself, 6, 7 years ago, made that that decision just to kind of focus on Alberta, and I don't want to go out and work with other companies in Ontario or the States like I used to. So I think an addition like yourself is going to be great. So let's talk a little bit about that mandate with the Hunter Hub that you mentioned. I would love to know. Again, I've been a big fan, lots of events there, attended lots of events there. They do a very good job of bringing in people like Gada to speak and share their knowledge and their entrepreneurial journey. So what do you think? Are you gonna change anything or add anything to make what you guys do even better?
Yeah, so a really good question. We're currently doing our first real formal strategic planning exercise as a team. The team is fairly new. Most of my team of in the Hunter Hub has been around for between 1 and 3 years. We have a few original team members from when the Hunter Hub started some 7 years ago, as you mentioned, in the dungeon. I've not had the chance to go visit the dungeon yet, but I've heard many stories about it. Compared to what is the largest contiguous, unique entrepreneurship focused or entrepreneurial thinking focused space in any campus across the country. We've got almost 40,000 square feet dedicated to creating collisions and bringing entrepreneurs together. So you talk about the mandate. I'm currently finalizing that formal mandate with the president of the university, to whom the Hunter Hub reports directly. because, as you know, University of Calgary is Canada's most entrepreneurial university. So my mandate is to deliver on that vision. And am I going to change anything? Yeah, we're going to change things. And we're going to add things. Yes. Are we going to subtract or stop doing some stuff? Absolutely. So we are in a phase of change, a phase of growth. What drives us is kind of what I talked about, inspiring our change makers and the members that we serve here, but also meeting them where they are along their journey. So I keep thinking about this continuum, right? So there are many paths along the entrepreneurial journey, and if all we did was give an entrepreneurial experience to our undergraduate students, but they don't see what happens next as a graduate student, as an employee, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, then we're not really giving them an understanding of what those journeys or those paths could be. So part of our mandate is to make sure that we have that continuum. So we have programs for undergraduates, we have programs for community members, we have programs for graduates, postdoctoral fellows. We also have programs for academics who are deep into starting up and commercializing some of their intellectual property that gets developed on their bench scale. So bringing those communities together here at the Hunter Hub is kind of the way to say, oh, I could become that graduate student, or I could become that academic, or I could become that business leader, or look, here's a graduate from the University of Calgary who had this journey, and that's kind of where I want to go. So role modeling is really critical for our philosophy around what I call it our program architecture. So how do these programs fit logically? So we're just trying to put a little bit of structure around our offer, making sure that people understand and recognize that we're not just about doing this or doing that or delivering this program. The Hunter Hub has a broad mandate from the Hunter family and from the president. Our mandate is to scale. In any given year, we touch between 1,000 and 1,200 students, members, community members, grad students, profs who take one of our programs or our activities. And about 7,500 people transit through the Hunter Hub every year. So my job and the team's job is to kind of figure out how do we scale that. And my last thought on that is scaling is only possible through partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a key theme.
I love that. Scaling through partnership, collaboration. I don't care what word you use. It's so important, right? And again, we are very good at that. Doesn't matter if you're a guy like anybody on the peer guidance team, or if you're a Tallgrass Ventures with Chris and Wilson or Brian and them from Metiquity. Like, we share deal flow, we share help, we share mental health, we share so much here, which puts a huge smile on my face when I know that everybody is working in the right direction. But what I would like to ask you is, Ontario's had such a big head start, and they've been such a powerhouse in the tech ecosystem. And I've been lucky enough to be invited to an Elevate IP event next week with Jim Balsillie, and I'm excited about that. So, what do you think that you could bring from, I don't want to call it the old school type thing, but somebody who's been doing it for so long and really, help and educate or contribute to our, kind of really early stage, kind of crawling type tech ecosystem?
Yeah, so a couple of observations, Jade. You're absolutely right. There's so many people that we can tap on the shoulder and say, yeah, I'm ready to work. Just give you a quick example. So Evan McCann of Faskin and Tate Hackert of House 831 and the Hunter Hub are now supporting an undergraduate student here at the University of Calgary who's starting a node from the Socratica group that started in Waterloo that's got chapters around the world. Called Ascend. And so for the last 3 weeks at House 831 on Saturdays, 15 to 30 youth, 15 years old to 30 some years old, get together to become creators and creative minds and work on projects and share how their thought process. Kickstarting and giving people permission and giving them space to start something is really critical. And so the second thought around that, and I'll get to the actual answer, is, I was thinking last night about the word entrepreneurship, and because my real name is Guy. I was born as a Franco-Ontarian, and so entrepreneur is actually a French word that we've all used, many, many years now. And it comes from the French verb to entreprendre. And entreprendre literally means to take on something or to undertake. And it just kind of dawned on me last night that, the University of Calgary's strategic plan is called Start Something, ahead
Oh
of
yeah.
tomorrow. Well, it's ahead of tomorrow, and our position is Start Something. And entrepreneur literally means to start something. So that's how core the mission is and the mandate is for the Hunter Hub. So what have I learned? One of the things that we're really proud of is the growth here in Calgary. And when you look at Ontario and the growth and the build out of ecosystems, you've got a great ecosystem in Toronto, Kitchener-Waterloo, Windsor has a small ecosystem, Ottawa, also in terms of the technology sector, which is half private sector and half kind of public sector with government technology. What we have here is proportionally a much bigger ecosystem for the size of our community. And so that creates a lot of opportunity and a lot of connection, and just the growth in our entrepreneurially minded community members, students, our tech entrepreneurs, per capita, the density here is amazingly high. And so that's a great competitive advantage. What's cool from a Calgary perspective compared to any ecosystem in Ontario is that we've got a really strong captive audience in terms of people who have strong loyalty and affinity to Calgary. So 70-ish% of the students that come to the University of Calgary, and there's about 38,000 are local. And what's really cool is that more than half of our graduates live within a 10-kilometer radius of the University of Calgary campuses. So that creates tremendous engagement and affinity to our local ecosystem. And what that does is alumni play such a critical role in demonstrating the art of the possible and the growth mindset, and sharing some of their successes, but also a lot of their failures. And one of the things that we do here at the Hunter Hub is it's okay to fail, and it's okay to try, and you have permission to fail. We're so surrounded today by our social media channels and streams about people ready to criticize us and put us down. The Hunter Hub and a space like this and a space like Calgary is, it's okay if you fail, because you've got people around you who are going to help pick you back up and try again and start again. And so that feeds such a tremendous mindset for the community. Again, that's why there's no better place to do what we're doing than to doing it right here in Calgary.
I couldn't agree more. And even just to pick up on that thought of that's an interesting stat about the graduates living in a 10-mile or 10-kilometer radius of the university. And that's one thing that I would like to see more of. I would like to see more of our, we'll call it older entrepreneurs, or people with that wisdom and that knowledge that have failed hundreds of times, have learned, and share that knowledge with our early stage founders or people at the ideation stage, because that's priceless, right? Like, somebody, if you think that you're struggling with something, somebody has done it probably 50 times, somebody has failed at it 50 times, and on the 51st try they were able to get it. And if we can get some of the we'll call it the gray hairs, a little more white in the beards, coming back and giving back and engaging in our community, we're only going to be stronger for it.
Yeah,
and that's not just in the tech ecosystem. That's going into oil and gas, or just the brick and mortar, or whatever it is, not just tech.
Yeah, and community organizations, right, and not-for-profits who are tackling some of our society's toughest challenges, right? Failing isn't just about not creating company or creating wealth; it's about creating communities and finding solutions to some really tough challenges. And that's one of the learnings, Jade, that I've had in the last couple of months as I meet a lot of people across the 13 faculties and schools. Is that entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial thinking, is often too easily associated to starting a business, creating a business, but it really is about creativity, problem solving, working with people with different perspectives to tackle tough challenges. And so when I talk to people from the School of Architecture and Planning and Landscape, or the Faculty of Social Work, or the Workland School of Education, when you change the language and you change the context or the lenses, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we do a lot of that. And we just never call it entrepreneurship. So it's great to have a combination of the traditional kind of entrepreneurial persona, but there are so many different personas that we have to, as a Hunter Hub, make sure that we are inclusive and kind of create that belonging and say, you know what? Yeah, I recognize myself in that. And there's too many people in the community that are entrepreneurial, but don't recognize themselves as that. I started my career 33 years ago as a high school teacher. And those 6.5 years where I taught high school were the most entrepreneurial years of my life, because you're always solving problems, dealing with crises, trying to figure out solutions and best way forward for the students, or as if you're running a science department and you need $10,000 worth of science equipment to run all your courses for the department, and you only get $1,500 from your principal as a budget, you got to figure stuff out, right? And so nursing, social work, they're all put into context and environments where they have to be entrepreneurial every single day of their lives. And understanding that and kind of demystifying what entrepreneurial thinking is all about, which was a very, very intentional choice of words by the Hunter family when they started this amazing place and this amazing initiative. So all those things put together creates the right ingredients to make a really fantastic recipe, or dessert, or whatever you want to call it.
No, and I assume that that's why it was chosen that way. When you say the naming of it, and and I think you're going to be a huge asset. And again, the schmuckness of me comes out, assuming that your name is Guy and not Guy. So again, there's another prime example.
Well, having lived in Mississauga, Toronto, Winnipeg, and now Calgary, I am that guy. I am that Guy, right? So it flows into an ear, and I love being called either, and it's who I am.
Oh no, that's good. Now people know.
Yeah.
I would love to, I know we kind of briefly touched base on, what some of your future plans are, but I would love, just spend maybe just a minute on, maybe sharing some of the plans that you might have for the kind of what's next of, for the Hunter Hub.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Jade. And I'll be succinct. Although as a French guy, I can go on forever and ever. So we do have a couple of kind of North Stars for our plans. Of course, we've got to align with the university strategic plan, which is ahead of tomorrow. There are provincial and local strategies around what we want the city of Calgary to be. So really, if I boil it down to a few key messages around what the mandate is, one is we have to be a major actor and partner around entrepreneurial thinking and entrepreneurship in the city. So I talked about partnerships a little earlier, so that's critical. The second one is scaling. So I talked about the 1,000 to 1,200 people that we touch every year with our programming and services. We're going to scale that and move that orders of magnitudes higher. Same thing with the number of visitors who come to the Hunter Hub in any given year. So scaling is critical. We spent a couple of hours talking with the Hunter family about that yesterday. One is to make sure that in very short order that the Hunter Hub and the University of Calgary are the definitive and the reference in Canada for entrepreneurial thinking and entrepreneurship. And part of that is making sure that University of Calgary also has an international profile around that. So we're going to a few key international conferences and giving talks this summer. We're also bringing the Global Council of Entrepreneurship Centers major conference in October here in Calgary. So 15 to 20 different countries, 800 attendees are going to understand just how special this environment is. So we're hosting them for 3 days. This is a conference that's usually held in the States, Boston, Texas, Las Vegas, or Europe. It's only the second time it will have been held in Canada. Last time I think was in Halifax in 2017. So we're going to showcase the best of entrepreneurship in Calgary. And third is to make sure that we have the right skills and capabilities to serve the change makers and create the growth mindset that is really the aspirational goal of the Hunter family gift and of the Head of Tomorrow strategy. So, how do we do that? Well, we recognize strategy and it's where strategy and opportunity meet, and that's where we're going to fill and add to our team in terms of our ability to deliver really meaningful programs. And maybe the last thing I'll just mention, Jade, is that the level of sophistication of the next generation of change makers and leaders grows every single year. So we can't rely on programming and approaches that were five years ago were really apropos and quite appropriate and relevant. We have to continue upping our game in terms of level of sophistication. Just look at general artificial intelligence and how it is driving and dominating entrepreneurship around the world. We have to keep up with that and be able to provide those supports and those needs that entrepreneurs are expressing. So always being in a continuous improvement and enhancement mode is really another kind of key principle behind what we're going to be doing for the next 10 years.
Man, I got goosies. You can't even see them. I'm so excited about that answer. Wow, that's incredible. I can't wait to contribute to anything that you need help with on that. And I know our ecosystem will be behind you 100%. So I love that vision. I love the goals that are being set there. That's incredible.
Yeah, I get goosebumps every morning, Jade. There's just something that gets me up out of bed at 10 to 5 every morning to come here and to help contribute and create some stronger and even stronger or strengthen the connective tissue for this kind of ecosystem that we have. And so that's always been my motto. And I'm known as a schmuck, but my reputation is also, or my nickname is Get Her Done. So when you combine those two things, I'll work with anybody at any time, and my team will, to make this place better and stronger, and reach that can-do spirit that Calgary has so much of. I was at a dinner just a couple of weeks ago where people were talking about, Calgary's got a really can-do attitude, but man, we got so much more that we can do. And I said, hey, this schmuck from Ottawa, just arrived a few months ago, and the can-do level for Calgary right now is off the charts. And everybody said, yeah, but it can be so much more off the charts. And so, that ambition and aspiration is really, gets the goosies going every day.
Oh, and we'll take any schmuck from anywhere in Canada that can get her done. There's no doubt there. Oh man, I'm always sad when our conversations come to an end, because this soon as we reached out and connected, I've been so excited about this talk, because I'm such obviously a big fan, and in 370 or so episodes, I've always asked this question. I'm excited to hear your answer, and I'm going to put it towards more of the student side of things, because it is a campus. So I guess if you had one piece of advice for a entrepreneurial student to get going, what would it be?
I've got I'll say three things. One is There's a phenomenal team here. I mean, the Hunter Hub team is second to none in terms of its experience, its expertise. So, if there's a place to come, to knock on a door, to say, hey, I don't even have an idea, but I'd love to get an idea to think about being an entrepreneur or doing an entrepreneurial journey, come here. In French, I'll circle back with French. There's a word that I use all the time, and that's being incontournable, that you cannot go through the Hunter Hub. So we want to be that place, that nexus. The second piece is, are you on LinkedIn? Mm-hmm. And the number of students who don't take full advantage of LinkedIn as a platform to build a network, to get their information sources around what's happening locally, but also, nationally or internationally, critical piece of advice. And the third piece is, as I talked about, giving permission, and it's okay to fail. The Hunter Hub is a safe space to explore things without fear of criticism or people judging you. It's a safe space to try stuff. And you know what? You just might succeed. And, we always say failure is just one more step towards success. And this is what the space and this place and this community that we're building of entrepreneurs on campus and in Calgary, we want them to feel that this is the place to come and this is a place to try. And maybe with the right ingredients will inspire and empower you to take a journey that wherever you end up, the skills and the experience and the connection you've had here at the Hunter Hub may have had a transformative impact on your life. And so inspiring change makers is about what the two words that kind of encapsulate what we're trying to do here.
Oh, I love it. Great answer. And yeah, LinkedIn is powerful. And right. And I'm the Hunter Hub has been part of our community for so long. It's been instrumental, and I'm excited to see where you take it and where it goes to be, to only make it more instrumental and powerful and bring valuable connections from across Canada and North America. So, anything that you need from us, you just let us know and anybody know, and we will be there for you.
Yeah. And Jade, what I will ask our audience and people in our networks now is, if you have any advice or suggestions for how the Hunter Hub can play an even better or stronger, more visible, more impactful role, please reach out to us and share that advice. We're willing to entertain everything from the community in terms of direction and guidance to make sure that what we do is meaningful and impactful and relevant. Because if we're successful, you're successful. If you're successful, we're successful. So success is really, I talked about taking a village, or, that's the virtuous circle of entrepreneurship. If we pay forward and get back and give, we're going to do some amazing things in the city of Calgary and in this community.
Oh, absolutely. We've already started, and it's only getting better and brighter. So I'm excited about that. And again, Guy, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your story. Welcome to Calgary. We're excited to have you as part of our journey moving forward. And again, if anybody needs a little extra help, we have the Osler Office Hours starting up again. Come in, sit down. Lots of people to share knowledge. Lots of people to help you out and just talk. Whatever you're looking for. Founders Coffee every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. A great place to meet like-minded individuals. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. And yeah, again, thank you for coming on again, Guy.
Thank you, Jade. Really appreciate the opportunity, and I love our chats.
Absolutely. So I hope everybody stays warm this week, has a great rest of the Wednesday, and there are some great events coming up here over the next few days. So I'm sure we'll be running into you all bundled up and in our toques and scarves.
Yeah, TC Energy Ingenuity speaker tonight, Jason Ribeiro, Calgary Surge, is talking about the state of the surge right here at the Hunter Hub. So if you've not registered, there might be a few places left.
If I didn't have 5 hours of girls softball, fastball practice, I would be there. I am a big fan of Jason as well and the Calgary Surge. So
fantastic.
All right, everybody.